Hello and good night. This is Noel Walrod here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm president of My Dreams Work, and for the last almost going on 9 years, I've been helping people to monetize their passions, beat procrastination, increase their incomes in all the areas of life that matter most to them. And it's been one heck of a ride. I want to drop a little bit of a message with you tonight, and I thought I would share this idea or ask you this question. Are you institutionalized? Oh, and by the way, as I'm going through this, if I'm saying something that resonates with you, something that you're like, whoa, that was pretty cool, or something that resonates with you, something that is, man, or you can say, man, that's me, whatever, just type it in the chats and say yes, and just, I need you, I need to feel your energy. I need to feel you with me. All right. So the question for today is, are you institutionalized? Are you institutionalized? Well, a lot of times when people think of institutionalization, they think of a lot of times incarceration, right? Like this. Now, I was watching one of my favorite movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. And there was a scene in the movie where Red was having a conversation with his buddies there, and because there was a gentleman who was in the prison who had been released from like was about to be released from prison, and he lost his mind because like a buddy of his went to shake his hand and say, "Look, good luck on the outside. Go do your thing." Hey, and dude totally flipped out, and he's wondering why this person would flip out. Like this person's about to leave jail. They're about to leave prison. They got a chance to get out and go and have the life that they've always wanted. You know what I mean? Finally get out. You're finally no longer constrained, no longer having guards in your face, no longer having to worry about dropping the soap in the shower. Like, I mean, you're like, you're free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, you're free at last, ready to go, right? But that's not the reaction. The reaction was total freak out. And why? Because he had been in that prison for over 50 years. Over 50 years. And so Red made a really interesting comment. He said, institutionalization. He said, first, when you get into jail, when you see the walls, you see the walls there that are holding you back, you hate the walls. You hate them at first. And then over time, you get used to them. You get used to the walls. And then after a while, you start to depend on those walls. And, I was like, boy, this is an interesting concept, because the truth of the matter is it isn't just people who are in prison that are really in prison. Like, I want you to think about this. For all of those people out there, I'm talking to people for a moment who have jobs that if you hit the lottery tomorrow, you would not be going back to. Okay, like if you if money wasn't the constraint like this, you would be like gonzo, gone, done, deuces. You know what I mean? You'd be out. Why do you do a job? Why would you stay in a place that you're really not happy about? Why would you stay in a situation you're not happy about? And some people say, well, I'm a big fan of the job, but it's a paycheck, and I got responsibilities, I got bills. Right. So you're there based on obligation. So that means you are confined. You're like in prison, and you can't get out. If this is ringing true for anybody, come on. I know some of you may not like me after this conversation tonight, but that's okay. At least hopefully I'll give you something to think about. You know what I mean? So why do people stay in jobs that they don't like? And some people absolutely hate their boss. Woo! Hate their staff, their colleagues. They're like, oh my God, every day I gotta go back to this place. Oh my God. But I have to. I have to do it. Right? I gotta do it. Like this. And it's because you believe, because you've become dependent on the paycheck from that employer. Even if that check isn't allowing you to do everything you need to do, so because you got to have 2 and 3 jobs in some instances, right? like this, but you're still holding on strong to that thing that isn't giving you everything that you need, and you really don't like being there. You've become dependent on that check. You've become dependent on being there, that place to go. And I've watched people who are on jobs who they don't like in picket lines fighting, I guess, for a little bit more money to go continue to go to a place where they don't like to go. Because even if they got the raise, how much more of the raise is it going to be? Like, really? Like, how much of their lifestyle is it really going to impact? If you're getting a raise, what is it, 2%, 3%, maybe 4%? Like, how much of a difference is it really going to make when you really think about it? It's like, the truth is, a lot of us are in prison, and it's an invisible prison, but in an prison nonetheless, and institutionalized in that we have become dependent on being at a place for the paycheck because we believe that our income security comes from that paycheck. The security is in that regular check. It comes every 2 weeks, once a week, or once a month, or whatever the term is that you've got. It's a hell of a thing. And I've seen a lot of people who are in similar situations like that. But here's the first thing I want you to consider. Trying to break up the mind of institutionalization. I'm gonna get you free, man. I want to get you out the pen. So the first thing is that true security isn't in the paycheck. Your true security comes from your skill set. If you are really good at a specific skill that is needed in the marketplace, like there's people who need what you have to offer, you're always going to be in demand. That's where your security comes from. Security doesn't come from a specific company. Even if you're a business owner and you run a business, your business isn't what gives you your security. It's your ability to adapt your skill sets and your ability to adapt and change to come to different environments in order to survive through challenging times. That many times was where the difference is made between companies that really take off and withstand the test of time and go through all the storms and the ones that fizzle and fall off to the side. Okay, so if you're hearing me say yes, man, Noel, you're talking sense. I guess put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. All right. So. Oh, by the way, no, seriously though, like if I'm making sense to you, say yes, Noel, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, I got you, bruh. I'm feeling you, bruh. I got it, right? So how do we break free from this mindset? Because it is about the skills that give you the best opportunity to create something new for yourself. Okay, so I'll give you an example of something. One of my students, one of my graduates actually, Sylvia Swider. Now, when Sylvia came, and I'll show you a picture so y'all can see who I'm talking about. So see her, that's her with her husband. Believe it or not, that's a real uniform. She's well, now a former police officer, and her husband, yes, Mighty Frank. He is actually a firefighter, right? I guess, yeah, a police person and a fire person. Isn't that something? All right. So, but when Sylvia first came into the class, she was involved with a network marketing deal, right? Now she's been on the force for 10 years, right? She has her set income. She's got her pension at the end of it. If she goes another 20 years, she gets her pension. Boom. And it'll be a good pension, in quotes, because of course, good is relative, right? So like this, what's good for one person may not be great for somebody else, right? So when she came into my class, they were making money on the side with their network marketing deal, but she was struggling with this idea of, when do I leave this job? Because man, the pension, it's really good, and man, I could be like this, like if I leave now, I lose that pension, aka security, for future security. Are you getting me? Like this, right? If I leave now to go and do this thing, what if this thing doesn't work out? Oh boy, Lord have mercy. So the institutional thought process was gripping her, was holding her, right? It was holding her tight. And then I started talking to her. I said, okay, well, look, how much do you earn as an officer. Now, I'm not going to get into what her income was as an officer. Let's just say it was in the range of 60 grand. Okay, it doesn't really matter now anyway. She's no longer in the force, but let's just say the income was 60 grand a year. Now on the force. Now I said to her, I said, well, how much money are you making in your business? And at the time, they were doing, between $3,000 and $5,000, and some months like 7 grand. They would do an average. Let's just call it an average of about $4,000. I said, so what's the issue? I said, listen, I want you to think about this. The amount of time that you have, because when you're on the beat, that's shift work, man. And and you're also on call. People are telling you when to be there. It's not really something that's, unless you got seniority, where you're going to get a lot of options, right? In terms of your scheduling and all those type of things, right? So the long and short of it with her was that, she was like, man, but what do I do and how do I know? And I said, listen, what I want you to target in your mind is, I'm going to show you some ideas to go out there and bust it on your sales to increase your sales. And then once you've got 90 days of backup behind you, reserve, which means that first of all, you've got 3 months worth of cushion, 3 months worth of cushion between you and, I don't want to call it the street, because I mean, she's a person, her and her husband, they had some savings, that kind of stuff. Not going to get on their business, but the point simply is that they weren't in dire straits, is the point. And many of you aren't in dire straits either. Some of you have some money sitting in the bank, or some equity sitting in your house. You've got some money there like this. Now, if you've got that, and we can start to now, on a part-time basis, if we're generating equal to or greater than what we're earning on our full-time job, from my perspective, being on that job is a waste of your time, because if you gave it a full-time effort, could you imagine where the results would be, right? And then so I said to her, I said, listen, because I know the pension thing was a big thing in the back of her mind. And fair enough, pension, hey man, you put in your time, you want to get that return every year. And I said, listen, you could build your own pension. Okay? How about the idea of generating, like one of my mentors taught me that we should learn to live on 30% of what we earn, and we bank 70% for the purpose of investing, okay? Like this. And so if you did that, and let's just say we could get your income up to $10,000 or $15,000 a month in your business. If you're doing that on a full-time basis, let's just say it was an average of $10,000, and you were living on the 50 or 60 grand or whatever you were making before. So that difference of the $50,000, that could be used for the purpose of investment, because you already know how to live on what you were making already. So the rest we're going to bank for the purpose of investment. I said, inside of 3 to 5 years, you put yourself in a situation where you could have enough investments everything between real estate investments, if you became financially literate and learned how to invest in stocks or crypto or like whatever asset class you decided to invest in, you could put yourself in a really good situation. And the truth of the matter is that you could actually climb way past 100 grand, because you have no cap on your income potential when you're running your own business, when you're doing your thing. So you could go higher. So what's the long and short of it, because I don't want to make this message long. So the long and short of it, what ended up happening for her? She launched, she started getting out there and cranking it, and she had a record-breaking month. And I believe at that month, this was in December of, I think, 2018. She did, I think it was in the neighborhood of about $20,000 to $25,000 that month. So they completely blew it out. Like they totally turned on the rocket boosters and crushed it. And then so she went in and she turned in her badge. You know what I mean? She went in and turned in her badge like this, like let go of the security belt for a second. But now she's building true income security. How about taxes? Will you pay more in taxes if you make more money as your own business? I will answer that question in a second, Patricia. Thank you. Like this. So now she was able to release herself and get out of the prison. She was able to get out of that situation, and praise God, now she actually inside of 4 months like this has already like eclipsed the amount she would have made in an entire year as an officer. Now, is that going to happen the same way for everybody? Not necessarily. Like this, Not necessarily. She was working hard, like grinding, grinding, grinding. And her husband was a strong support for her as well. Like they had each other's back. So, and they were building together to create. But the point simply is that they put themselves in a situation where even without, let's just say she was just building this on her own, without any backup support, she's more than capable of generating $100,000 to $200,000 a year on her own, period, full stop in the story. Now, when you come together as a couple, as a team, so if you happen to have a significant other and you guys can combine your efforts the same way that they did, boy, things can happen really super fast for you. All right. So I just want you to know that, again, now this has just happened to be people who went off into a business. I got like, I don't know how many people who've come through my programs, and that's been the happening for them. They've now were able to leave that job and then go to do the thing that they really wanted to do that was in their heart and generate what they want to generate. I was going to close on this because I wanted to keep the message under 20 minutes, but I'll just say this real quick to answer a question that just came in. What happened? Don't you have to pay more taxes? Well, what we're going to be doing as a business person, from the time that you know that you're going to be earning 6 figures or more, you want to incorporate. You know, yes, and you can talk to it. I would suggest talking to an accountant. So first of all, so this is not financial advice, but you want to become an incorporation because you're going to substantially reduce the amount of taxes that you have to pay, and you're going to pay yourself as an employee, and there's ways to expense things to reduce that taxable income. So absolutely, you do not want to be receiving 6 figures like this and be earning it as a sole, even a sole proprietor, because it comes to you personally, you're going to be paying that highest tax bracket, and you definitely don't want that to happen. But I'll do another talk on another day on that specifically. But yeah, but you want to incorporate yourself for sure if you're generating that type of income. So the point is that, and just to close out here, and I hope that helped, Patricia. If it did, put that in the comments, please. Thanks. Like this, the point simply is this: if you want to break free from being institutionalized, if you want to break completely free of being institutionalized, it means that you have to have a different vision of what's possible. You have to be able to see that there's another way in order to generate income. I've watched, in different in different parts of the United States where you see certain towns that were dependent on a steel mill, certain towns that were dependent on a different, and some of you, wherever you happen to live in the world, wherever you're watching this, you've seen maybe small towns completely crumble because one business went under. And I'm like, okay, how does that happen? Like, because all of these people are human beings with brains, and there's something called the internet, and there's so many opportunities available where you can learn how to generate income online, like that's available to everybody right now. And if it's something is that bad in the city, I guess, and if there's like it's desolate, I move. I find somewhere else to go. You know what I mean? And even if it means I got to downsize and rent a room instead of renting an apartment, you know what I mean? And camp it out, which I have personally done. You know what I mean? Like this, the reason that people are so tied to this thing, so institutionalized to it, is because they don't see a vision outside of where they are. If you can relate with what I'm talking about, please type it and say, oh my God, yes, put that in the chat, I guess. And part of what I love to do with people is to be able to show them all of the possibilities, those things that they could create. Because once you create and you get on the creative plane, and you start getting creative and using your imagination, how could we generate more income? How could we help more people? How could we render more service? Then the idea of institutionalization becomes an end deal. It's done, it's over, it's finished. Let's end institutionalization today. Let's end it now. I hope you got some value from this. If you did, please type it in the chat, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the next call. Have a truly powerful and blessed night.